Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past Wolverine is like throwing world-ending chaos, unbreakable grit, and a dash of mutant trauma into a blender and hitting pure rage mode. In the bleak, burnt-out future of Days of Future Past, Wolverine was still doing what he does best, surviving impossible odds and looking really cool while doing it. After Senator Robert Kelly's assassination kicked off a chain reaction of anti-mutant hysteria, the United States fell under the cold steel rule of Sentinels. Grizzled, grumpy, and still rocking the sideburns, Wolverine was one of the last X-Men left standing. With mutant kind circling the drain, Wolverine helped launch a desperate Hail Mary, sending Kitty Pryde's consciousness back in time to stop the murder that doomed their world. Meanwhile, future Logan stayed behind to help keep the Sentinels busy, which in his case meant getting launched by Colossus like a human missile. It didn't end great. One blast from a Sentinel vaporized him into a sizzling skeleton. Tough break, even for a guy with a healing factor, but this wasn't the last we saw of him. Later, Multiversal Madness brought this Logan back from the crispy, and he went on to lead the Wolverine Squad, a group of Logan variants from across the dimensions. Because if there's one thing better than one Wolverine, it's a whole army of them with even worse tempers. Together, they warned the multiverse about an incoming celestial-level threat. Battle-hardened, full of snark, and now extra slightly crispy, Wolverine just won't quit. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Wolverine is basically what happens when you hand a grumpy Canadian a license to stab, spy games, snark, and sneaky takedowns included. In an alternate reality from What If number 7 by Jim Valentino and Rob Liefeld, Logan didn't slash his way into the X-Men. Instead, after dismantling one of Hydra's synthetic meat puppets, a life model decoy, he caught the eye, and the eye patch, of Nick Fury, who offered him a gig with S.H.I.E.L.D. Logan said yes, swapped out the spandex for a stealth suit, and started punching terrorists in the name of global peace. Things got even more wild when a clone of Baron von Strucker assassinated Fury. Rather than retire into a whiskey-fueled revenge spiral, Wolverine stepped up as the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. From that high-powered post, he protected mutants from government overreach, buried the Sentinel program, and shot down anti-mutant laws like they were Hydra Jones. No team-ups with Cyclops, no danger room drills. Just one hairy man with a healing factor and a badge making Xavier's dream real through sheer force of will and probably a lot of stabbing. Suit-wearing, policy-passing, and still just one bad day away from Berserker mode, this Wolverine proved you don't need to wear yellow tights to be a hero. Sometimes all it takes is a desk job and the right to authorize orbital strikes. Age of Apocalypse. Age of Apocalypse Wolverine ditched the rulebook, lost a hand, and still shows up like he's got nothing to lose and everything to slice. One scale away from ending your whole timeline. In this twisted timeline, Professor X was taken off the board before he ever formed the X-Men, leaving the world wide open for Apocalypse to step in and ruin absolutely everything. Now going by Weapon X, Logan was a battle-scarred rebel fighting alongside Magneto's version of the X-Men. Well, used to fight with them. By the time the story kicks off, Logan's gone solo. While rescuing Jean Grey, who else? Weapon X squared off against Cyclops, now one of Apocalypse's top generals, and lost his hand for the trouble. Still, Logan and Jean struck it to the regime to helping the humans plan a full-on nuclear strike against Big Blue himself. Logan eventually rejoined the X-Men, until Apocalypse twisted him into Weapon Omega, a ruthless tyrant who wiped out millions. Yikes. But there's always a little heart under all that adamantium. After Jean helped bring him back from the brink, Logan turned his guilt into purpose, hunting down the very mutants who'd once served under his monstrous reign. One-handed, mortally complicated, and somehow even angrier than usual, this Wolverine's redemption arc comes with a body count and a grudge. Noir. Wolverine Noir throws mutant powers out the window, straps on a fedora, and steps into a shadowy 1930s world where every punch packs a punch of melancholy. In the gritty, cigarette smoke-filled alleyways, Logan isn't a mutant. He's Captain Jim Logan, a private eye, part-time bootlegger, and full-time man of mystery. He trades adamantium claws for blades and street smarts, working for Mariko Yashida while tangling with Victor Creed and the dangerously alluring Rose O'Hara. Spoiler, nothing good comes from mixing business with exes. Eventually, Logan partners with that universe's version of Puck to start a shipping business, which goes about as well as you'd expect in a noir setting. He ends up framed for a supposed death of Jean Grey, who, in this world, is a student of a suspiciously radical psychologist named Charles Xavier. Once the truth came out and the smoke cleared, Logan joined forces with Cyclops and the Angel to steal the gem of Cytorak. But just when you think he's clawed his way out, Logan gets nabbed and thrown into Genosha Bay Prison, because in Noir, happy endings are for suckers. This Wolverine might not heal fast, but he still bleeds cool. Zombie Wolverine. Zombie Wolverine's what happens when you take the best of what he does and make what he does eating people. On Earth 2149, Logan was one of the first heroes to fall when the Marvel Universe went full undead. Bitten by zombified Captain America and Hawkeye, his healing factor tried its best but couldn't keep up with the virus. Instead of curing him, it just made him a decaying flesh-hungry nightmare who wouldn't die. This version of Wolverine didn't just snack on civilians either. He teamed up with other zombified heroes to feast on the Silver Surfer and Galactus. Yep, he got a bite of the big guy himself and absorbed a piece of cosmic power, turning Zombie Logan into one seriously jacked up space cannibal. After globetrotting through the galaxy on a cosmic buffet tour, he eventually landed back on Earth just in time to get teleported to another dimension. There, he joined the Multiversal Weapon X-Men, a team of alternate Wolverines. But the ultimate punishment was dumped into a peaceful plant-based reality he couldn't hurt or eat. Eternal Hunger is a vegan universe. That's a special kind of torture even for Wolverine. Old Man Phoenix. Old Man Phoenix mixes Logan's grumpy grandpa vibes with the cosmic power of a fiery rebirth, all wrapped in a multiversal meltdown because why settle for just one apocalypse when you can have a few? This version of Wolverine comes from a scorched future where Loki wiped out humanity and King Thor rules a broken Earth. But Logan's not alone. He's bonded with the Phoenix Force, making him a cranky cosmic-powered wildcard called Old Man Phoenix. To stop that grim future, he traveled back to the main Marvel Universe, disguised himself as his younger self, and began quietly collecting and redistributing the Infinity Stones. Back in his timeline, he joined forces with Thor to take down a world-ending level threat, Doctor Doom Supreme. He was briefly killed by an evil Mystique and the multiversal Masters of Evil. That's a thing. But naturally, the Phoenix doesn't stay down. Revived and madder than ever, Old Man Phoenix helped the multiversal Avengers give Mephisto and his villain Variant the cosmic beatdown they deserved. Because apparently, even at the end of everything, Wolverine's still the guy who shows up, snicks, and saves reality, flaming bird style. Lord of the Vampires. Lord of the Vampires Wolverine comes to life when Logan gets that Dracula special bodily liquid, shrugs it off like a bad hangover, and decides he'd make a better king than the king of the undead anyway. And what if, number 24, Storm becomes a vampire and, like a bad group project, she drags the whole X-Men team into it. Wolverine gets turned, but thanks to sheer willpower and probably spite, he resists Dracula's control and shakes him to become the new Lord of the Vampires. Now rocking the undead crown, Logan builds a mutant vampire army and sends Juggernaut to kill Doctor Strange, who held the key to ending vampirism with the Montesi formula. Even in death, Strange wasn't out. His astral form recruited the Punisher to protect the magical secrets of the Sanctum Sanctorum. But when Logan watched the Punisher take out vampire Kitty Pryde, something in his undead heart snapped. In a rare moment of regret, he recited the Montesi formula himself, wiping out all vampires, including himself. Because sometimes being the best there is means knowing when to end your own horror movie. Old Man Logan. Old Man Logan just wants to retire, but the Apocalypse and a few supervillains keep dragging him back in. In this universe, the villains finally won. But it wasn't just brute force that took down the X-Men. Mysterio tricked Wolverine with an illusion so cruel, Logan ended up slaughtering his own teammates with his bare claws. That broke him. So he wandered off into the wastelands, what used to be America, trying to live a quiet, claw-free life. But peace doesn't last long in a world crawling with tyrants. After a gang of Hulks, yes, plural, murdered his family, Logan snapped back into action. Older, angrier, and done playing nice, he made it his mission to claw through the villains who ruined everything. Even with age catching up, Old Man Logan proved he still had enough berserker in him to make the bad guys wish he'd stayed retired. And that's a wrap. From time-traveling survivors to vampire lords, cosmic firebirds, and grizzled future Ronin, Wolverine has slashed his way through every kind of timeline, universe, and identity crisis imaginable. Did your favorite Logan variant make the cut? Or is there a wild-clawed version we missed that deserves the spotlight? Let us know in the comments. We're always game for a multiversal debate. If you had fun on this ride through the Berserker multiverse, hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more Marvel deep dives, epic character breakdowns, and comic book chaos. Until next time, bub, stay savage.